Omer, Yeshua Omer says, Halomed Yeled, one who learns something while he is young. Lemahu Domeh, what is it like? Lediyo ketuva al niyar chadash, like ink that is written on fresh paper, on new paper. Va'alomed zaken lemahu domeh, somebody who is already zaken, somebody who's already coming up in the years, he's older, he starts learning. What is it similar like? Lediyo ketuva al niyar machuk, like you write on niyar machuk. You write on a paper or parchment, let's say, that was already written on, and it was scraped, it was erased. So the point being, Ben Ish Chai goes on this a lot. We make mistakes sometimes. There is a very common mistake we make, and you got to be careful of this. We say, you know what, right now I'm young, I'm busy with children, we may have young children, or we may be single, I'm dealing with shidduchim, I'm dealing with that. It's very difficult at this age, let's say, to get up early. It's very difficult at this age to be careful of what I'm watching. When I get older, it will be easier and I will deal with it. It's guaranteed it will become harder. It will become harder. Everything you want to think about. Anger. You think it gets easier, Young people, they have a lot of passion in them. They get angry quickly. And okay, so when I get older, I work on it. Well, this is only partially true. It's partially true that if you work on it when you get older, you will get somewhere. Yes, it becomes easier if you start working on it. If you haven't learned how to work on it, it becomes much, much more difficult. You see old people who get angry, how difficult it is. If they have never had a handle how to deal with anger, it becomes impossible. Really impossible. One who says, okay, now I'll do this later. There is no such a thing. There is no such a thing. I always used to say, I was little, but so if anything you want it done, you'll do it today. If you say, I'll do it tomorrow, it'll never get done. You know why? Because tomorrow also has it tomorrow. Right? Everything you can say tomorrow will never happen. Anything worth doing is worth doing this second. This second. They say in Mir, there was a very smart, let's call it a genius student, that he knew almost all of Shas. He knew the whole Gemara, everything. And during the meal, they were arguing about a certain Gemara, what the Gemara means, and he had an idea, and somebody else was saying that. So a third, also very learned, pipes in and says, well, how could you say that? He tells him, how could you say that? Tosfot clearly says not like you. You don't remember a Tosfot? And the Rosh Yeshiva is watching this whole conversation going on. So he gets so bothered by the fact that he doesn't remember the Tosfot, that he leaves in the middle of his meal. He leaves, he goes back to Bet Midrash, and they say he restarted, very reinvigorated to go over everything, make sure he remembers everything. And they asked the Rosh Yeshiva, he forgot to say Birkat Hamazon. Let's go get him back. He said, no, let him be. He said, let him be. He was so moved, he didn't remember anything anymore. He was so moved. So she said, let him say, well, what do you mean? There's an obligation of Birkat Hamazon. So you bring him back, you may lose something much greater. If he goes now, he could continue, and he continued for the next 2 years. He reviewed everything, whatever. He became a great personality. But the point is, you seize the moment. Now here, you decide, I'm going to do this later. I get a little bit on in years, it'll be easier to deal with this. I will, person thinks I will deal with, impure thoughts and impure images once I get married. Biggest mistake. You think it's easier. And he gets married, Baruch Hashem, he has a wife, this and that, so that is easy. That is only easier, yes, it is easy, if somebody who's learned how to, who's started to handle it. So you grow in that area where you've started to work on it. You don't work on something, it becomes impossible. Impossible as you get on in, any day, one day earlier you start, your job is twice easier. It's just the fact of what it is. Just fact of what it is. Rabbi Nishchai says those people who, we see it doesn't have to be only in the realm of Torah. Those people who don't study, who don't exercise the brain, then they get old. There is nothing. Somebody who is life, I don't know, you may have had this experience with some people. You may have somebody over 70 that comes and tells you, you know what? I want to get familiar with this internet business. What is this? Teach me. And they go and they get it, they learn it. And somebody else, maybe 50, 52, I say, I can't. They won't even try because he knows there is no hope. What's the difference? The difference is the 70-year-old was learning throughout his life, so he's ready to learn more. At age 70, his brain is still working, and it could be 90 still. The brain is ready to pick up more things. But if somebody stopped, mentally growing at age 30, comes age 50, there is nothing goes in. It's just impossible. So that is the case. You start younger, you will continue more. It becomes easier as you move through your life, but don't make a mistake of thinking it's easier when I'm at an older age. It won't happen. It won't happen only if you started. So halomed yeled, you got to start while you're still young. While you're still young. Now Baruch Hashem, the the definitions of young and old may have changed. Baruch Hashem, people are living close to 100, over 100, more and more nowadays. And we got to give ourselves credit. We have time. But every day we push it off for another day. We're making it twice harder. It's easier, twice easier today than tomorrow, and 4 times easier today than 2 days from now. Whatever it is you want your life to be, whatever direction you want it to go, you got to start now. You got to start now. You got to start right away, right? And don't ever hold anything past yourself. I never forget this. The Baltimore Sun, the big newspaper in Baltimore, had an article. One of the, may have been worked out, whatever it is, one of the writers had written an article about the editor-in-chief. Right? The article was about the editor-in-chief of the paper itself. She was celebrating her 100th birthday. She's the editor-in-chief. She's responsible for everything. So that she's interviewing this 100-year-old woman who's still at the top of her game and is running one of the bigger papers in the country. Says, how did you end up here? Says, I was 65, and she was working for another big paper. The name was even there. And I turned 65, so they gave me mandatory retirement. I told them I'm not ready. I'm not ready to retire. I have a lot to contribute. And no, at age 65, we don't keep you anymore. Mandatory retirement. So I came, and I started working for Baltimore Sun at age 65. And they liked what I had to offer. They liked my ideas, and she grew, went up the ladder, as they say, and she became the editor-in-chief. So how many years has she been working in Baltimore Sun?
35.
35 years. 35 years after her forced retirement. And that paper who forced her out, they saw how much she had to contribute, what a change she introduced in Baltimore Sun, whatever. They're kicking themselves in the back. They're kicking themselves in the back. So, Baruch Hashem, we have, Hashem has given us the blessing of medicine nowadays that truly deals with a lot of issues. We have a preventative medicine that takes care of a lot of problems, so they should not exist, and even things that do come up as far as aging and whatever, we have a lot more ways to deal with it, and Baruch Hashem, lives are getting longer. So we have, Baruch Hashem, we have more possibility. 6-year-olds are certainly not old nowadays. For sure not old. Somebody 60 is for sure not old. It's, they have a lot to contribute. So, if you haven't started yet, you're still young. Go ahead and start. That's this is a lomed yeled. Start, the research shows that one of the least percentage of dementia, Alzheimer's, in different professions is in what? Rabbis. Rabbis have the least number of dementia or Alzheimer's. Now the doctors say it's not a surprise. Why is that? Because brain is like any other muscle. That's what neurologists tell you. Brain doctors tell you the brain is like any other muscle. The more you use it, the better it becomes. Right. Somebody who studies Torah every day, the brain is used and used and used and used, is challenged, so then, the brain keeps good. It keeps well. It keeps well. Right? Again, there are statistics for everything. You're talking about it statistically. Statistically, rabbis have the lowest percentage of dementia now. Okay, so I really don't know what they consider rabbis. To a lot of people outside, anybody who's got a beard is a rabbi, right? So maybe in this sense they're right. Anybody who does a little bit of learning every day, every other day, whatever it is, you exercise your brain. It goes longer. It keeps better, and the earlier you start, halomed yeled, you start learning. You challenge your mind. Challenge your mind. There is no, I don't need to repeat it. Everybody knows the emphasis of our religion, the emphasis of Torah on learning. Learning is everything. Ad kidei kach that Hashem tells Navi, you know what? Even if the choice is between leaving me, becoming atheists, and learning or not learning, and believing in God, let them learn. Halavai oti azavu. They don't believe in God, but they learn Torah. Why? Because the power of Torah, the Or Sheba, it will fix everything. It will fix all problems. It will fix all problems. It will fix itself. So the emphasis of Judaism on learning is nothing that I need to say. It's obvious. Everybody knows. It's well known. The point here is you start young. Don't tell yourself, okay, now I'm busy. When I am, where were you 2 minutes ago? 60 is young. Believe me, 60 is young. 60 is young. When the children grow up, it becomes so difficult as is to change anything in your life, right? To change any habit. Now here is something. If somebody is in a habit of change, if you have taught yourself to grow, if I have taught myself not to get stuck in a habit, my habit is to constantly grow and don't be in a habit, that lasts. That becomes your habit. And this is what he's talking about. Here is the trick. You become in a habit of not being stuck in a habit. That is what works. That is what really could make all the difference in life. You see a lot of people comes, Baruch Hashem, they go on in years, and the mind is going, it's sharp, it's this. Right? It's constantly producing. It's productive. Good. So in Mirza Hashem, we will be meeting in Aseret Yom Teshuvah next. I wish you all a good year. Please have beautiful tefillot.